So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Elan on stage. Elan, please join me on stage.
Morning, Mike. How's it going?
Elan, good to see you again as always. You're inspiring and you're motivational, but you walk the talk and you do the things. So Elan, welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. It's great to be speaking on the platform again. I've looked forward to this session since we spoke about it.
And Elan, you know what? Just a message to all our attendees out there. If you talk about branding, look at that. Your wall behind you, your clothing. I know by looking at you, I know exactly what you do. TechZoo is an amazing corporation. But tell me, Elan, before we start,
sure.
Tell us a little bit about Elan and TechZoo, if you don't mind.
Sure, with pleasure. So, I think we've created our slogan to be the greatest value at the lowest cost. So what we're out there to do is create products that take up space in the digital space and improve the business life of people and entrepreneurs doing business, and to bring them, like we say, the greatest value at the lowest cost, and improve their worlds in as many spaces as we can.
And so, Elan, this is I saw the topic over the last 2 weeks, 1,000 more no's. To me, it's extremely exciting, and I'm going to ask you to move into that, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. I know our attendees out there are looking forward to it too, because it's so relevant and so important. So, Elan, 1,000 more no's. Tell us more. I'll see you a bit later. Thank you.
Great. Thanks very much, Mike. Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's like I said to Mike, it's great. It's always an honor to speak to the business community and to just be involved in such a great platform. I'm very impressed always by Mike and his team, and I think what they're doing is fantastic, and I'm excited. I'm sure that they'll be moving back into a more physical environment. They've done a great job digitally, but I look forward to working with them and then the team in the physical, and I hope to feel that rush of talking to an audience face to face again. Guys, like Mike introduced me, my name's Elan. I'm the chief entrepreneur at TechZoo Corporation. And we talk about entrepreneurs because, we encourage the drive and the passion from the team and a road forward for people to grow. So today, if you've ever met me before, we've spoken, you'll know I like to speak from experience, because it means mostly that I don't have to remember every word that I've written down, but I can just speak from the heart and from my experience. I speak to you guys as a business community. I've met some of the people that I think are here with us today before. I've spoken to you all. I've understood some of your dreams and your visions and what you want to do as entrepreneurs and salespeople, business owners, marketers, and just people in general with a vision and a dream to achieve something great. And in today, I hope to tell you my thoughts in dealing with negative responses in such a way that maybe by the end you won't mind getting told no so much, and perhaps turn the negative around into something useful that's positive, that will map your journey forward and hopefully to a space of getting much more yeses in the future to whatever it is that you're offering to the market. I've got the chat open so that I can see it on my screen, and I'm going to do my best to follow it. My team is in attendance, so if I miss something, please find me or somebody in my team after the chat. I'd love to speak to people, and as I like to keep things interactive. So if I say something and you want to comment, please go for it, and I'll try and catch on to it. Just a little brief background to my passion for the topic of 1,000 more no's. I owned and operated a call center for many, many years. We actually built our own proprietary systems, our own CRM for the specific purpose of building a debtors book. And we were part of the annoying phone calls that people used to get to say, would you like to buy something? And if you ever want to hear somebody deal with rejection on a daily basis, go sit next to a call center agent just for a day, or try and be one yourself, which I did. That's one way to learn to deal with rejection and how to overcome it and keep the passion to keep moving forward. Not sure if people are aware, but before I got involved in business, I was actually in the music business. And I worked specifically as a singer and a songwriter, and I traveled the world. I worked with superstars, and I worked with average Joes, and then I worked with average Joes who literally became superstars, and they're very famous, and a lot of people you'd know exactly who they were. Again, in the music business, if you ever wanted to feel what rejection feels like and get it on a daily basis, become a musician or a songwriter or something like that. If you've ever watched Idols or the televised talent shows, think of that, where people, you know, can really have a go at you, but it's a lot less glamorous. So there's no lights, there's no camera, there's no real action. It's more like it's just on repeat every single day. Someone's getting the power seat and telling you no, and maybe they're at a TV show or a radio or somewhere, and the person who's telling you no is actually a bit less qualified than Simon Cowell. So you know, they're listening to a CD or an MP3, or CD, I'm giving my age away, or an MP3 or something, and they just turfing it in the bin. So let's say the reason I mention that is I need to say, like, I've dealt with no quite a lot in my journey in the various careers. So it gives me a lot of passion to be able to transfer some knowledge and information to say to people, you know, just keep going through. Just an interesting story is worth sharing. Once upon a time when I was younger, I did a show in the UK. There were 20,000 people in an audience that had never seen or heard of me before. And when I tell you I dealt with rejection, it was because as I walked onto the stage, I was actually not the opening act, which I probably should have been. There was, you guys might have heard of Craig David. He actually performed before me. The audience was going nuts. I walked on the stage and everyone went quiet. I could literally hear my footsteps as I walked out onto the stage with 20,000 pairs of eyes just staring at me. And there's a wonderful feeling of what am I doing here and how to overcome it and take a step forward and just take a leap of faith and go forward. So hopefully some of the insights will help everybody today. And then obviously with TechZoo and offering a SaaS product, a system as a service, like many entrepreneurs out there, you deal with no a lot. Not everybody's going to want what you're offering, and the truth is that that's okay. Being a marketing person and somebody who wants to advertise, if I could advertise through a smoke signal and somebody could say no to me through a smoke signal, I'd figure out how to deal with it and try and turn it into something positive. Okay, so all that to say, really, just that in terms of my history, I've taken a lot of no's and we can turn them into something positive. So hopefully I'm a decent expert to transfer knowledge here. All right, I want to give you guys 6 thoughts to dealing with no. But first, I must just make it a blanket thing. Please remember that in whatever we say and however you handle yourself, you're always looking for yes. It's super important to remember the point is to succeed, to achieve yes, to get to the yes and to get to the positive. But it's a fact of life and definitely a fact of sales and marketing that we're going to hear no. And no is very tough to deal with. It's something that's just a fact of what we're going to do with, but we must remain in the positive and we must live in the positive and look for yes. Okay, so the first thing, so 6 thoughts to feeling better about no. Number 1, the business waterfall has good news to it. Business is actually designed for no. Generally speaking, we need much less of a yes than we need no's. So in other words, if I apply it to some experience in a call center, in a day, we got thousands of no's, but we got hundreds of yes. And the hundreds of yes were enough to carry us through into a positive and strong business and to overcome the no's that we got. So if you think about how much marketing is done by millions and millions of businesses around the world and how many no's they get relative to the yeses that they get, there's much more no than yes, but the business waterfall is actually designed to handle it. So if you're getting told no, don't worry about it. Go and find the yes that you need, and you'll work out for yourself how many yeses you need relative to the no's that you're going to get. Number 2, sometimes no can actually leave you quite perplexed. How come did you get to a no? I mean, your offer is so good. What you're offering makes so much sense. The pitch that you put forward to the customer is, it couldn't even make sense that they would say no, because it's such a, that they say anything other than yes, because it's so obvious that they should take it, but sometimes they just won't. I've done it before with, I'll give you an example of buying a car, that when I said, actually, you know what, to the dealer, I'm not going to take it, he looked at me amazed, said, Elan, this is the best deal I've ever done in my whole career. How can you not accept it? I just said, you know what, it's just not going to be for me. He was as perplexed as anybody could have ever been, but I still said no, and he needed to carry on and go find somebody else. And I'm sure he eventually managed to find someone to buy the car. most of all, it's to say that to a lot of the entrepreneurs and people I've spoken to in the environment, it's, I know you guys are offering good stuff. I know that you're trying to put the best deals forward. I know that what you're doing is going to work if you keep sticking at it, but unfortunately, sometimes you're just going to get a no matter what it is that you do, but you keep going forward and you'll find the yes. It's more to make you feel better that you're not alone. We've all been through it. Following on, there's not really a business or a product that is immune to no. We can take some examples and look at it, and let's stick with the car example. Every major brand that you see driving on the road or that you know deals with no. Mercedes, if you drive a Mercedes, if you drive a BMW, if you drive a Toyota, if you drive an Audi, or Kia, Porsche, whatever it is that you drive, you actually said no to the other brand. So you couldn't, unless maybe you've got all the cars under the sun, you've definitely said no to someone to have picked the car that you've picked and you're driving it around. So look at all the brands out there. People are saying no to big brands. Take your phone, for example. People say that there's two kinds of people. There's Apple and then there's everyone else. But so you get people that are saying no to Apple or no to the other brands or whatever it is, but you're seeing it happen on a massive scale. So trillion-dollar businesses are being told no. So if you're a smaller business, don't feel bad that you're being told no to, because it's happening to everyone, big or small. Even sticking with the phone, let's look at the SIM card inside of your phone. Like take your network, MTN, Vodacom, Cell C, you're with one of them. Maybe you've got a dual SIM phone, so maybe you've got two, but you've picked your one based on what you've decided, and you've said no to the other. So again, no one is immune to no, and if you're getting told no, don't feel bad about it. It's happening to everyone. If you're getting told no, so jumping onto another point here, if you're getting told no, don't feel too bad, because no comes in different shapes and sizes, and it's definitely further exacerbated by the internet and social media. No can be anonymous. No could be driving by a billboard or walking past the shop window and seeing an offer and saying, no, it's just not for me. But the person who put the advert out there not going to know about it. It's an anonymous no, but they put their offer out and you're just not going to take it up. Look at an anonymous but cold no. Let's take it to a personal life example. Look at things like Tinder that are out there, where people are swiping and saying no, that this isn't for me. This person's no good. It's a very hard and cold no, but it's something that's very personal, but you'll just never know about. Let's take a cold phone call from somebody in a call center. That's a semi-personal shape and size of a rejection, because the call center agent, the guys that are calling you to say, compare your insurance. I get them all the time. I don't actually know where they got my number, but they call me all the time, and I have to remind myself, this person's just trying to make their targets. I should never be rude. I've actually owned a call center. I've sat there before, but it's a semi-personal no when I say no, because they don't know exactly who I am, but I've still told them no, and they feel it more direct. So if you're getting told no directly, again, thousands and thousands of times a day, it's happening to businesses across the world, but they're still in business. They're still making sales. They still move forward. No can be definitely personally informed, and I'll give you guys some insight to this one. So business to business, sending out a cold email to ask somebody if your product would work in their environment. Hopefully it's fairly targeted, but a no from an email or something on a business to business level can be very personally informed, and it can definitely hit home depending on what the response is. We've definitely seen some extremely rude responses to cold emails, and potentially, just as a business community, it's worth thinking about that when you do respond to something. Just remember there are people involved in these things and behind it. So hopefully people are respectful with their cold mails, but just remember, when you reply to something like this and you're saying no, it's personally informed, and now your name is on your response. So now it may have an impact on yourself, but to the person getting told no, it's quite hard. It hits home, but it should be categorized, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. No can also be super informed. So we've gone from not very informed all the way down to very informed. And this would take shape in the form of something like I was explaining about when I looked at a car and the dealer thought I was nuts for not taking the deal. The no is super informed because you've spent time working on it. You've created a deal. You've pitched. You've really gone down a whole journey with this person, and they've still come down to a no, and that no sometimes feels worse than any other no because of the time and effort spent in it. Okay, thought number 5, win or learn. So when we get into a win or learn situation, I often ask people when they ask me about the positivity and the ability to continue. I often offer this example, and I offer people, think of a sports person, take a boxer or an athlete or somebody who's involved in sport or something that requires them to continuously perform at their best. When the guys lose, I've often seen them come back and say, you know what, I didn't lose, I learned. And there's something inspiring in it, because what they're really telling us is that the ability to continue and to be motivated inside of us is that I don't want to look at it like a loss, so I must learn from it and I must move forward. And we can definitely apply the same thing inside of a no in a response to something that we've offered someone. So if you don't win every deal, you learn. Again, taking from the same type of example, if we go and we look around at the business environment, show me a successful business person who hasn't heard no 1,000 times, who hasn't had to deal with a heartbreaking no from somebody, an investor, a client, as somebody involved in their world that has said no to them at some point. There can't be a person on the planet now or before that hasn't had to deal with it a bunch of times. In fact, if we look at the business environment, the space that we sit in sits that a lot of people have actually gone all the way down to bankruptcy and come back because they've dealt with all of these no's and all of these things that they've had to go through and come back. Now, one of the things that, sorry, just I want to ask, it's hard because I can't see faces, but is everybody still with me? Maybe we can get a show of thumbs. Cool. Okay, great. That's great to see. If anybody's got a question, please feel free, pop it in the chat. Again, it's always interesting to talk to the computer, but I'd love to have seen faces. So if you're with me, great. If you need to ask me something along the way, please feel free. The other day I was driving, and there was a fantastic analogy. Well, I thought it was fantastic, and my team liked it. But the concept to me while I was driving was we deal with no's, and sometimes it feels like it's a never-ending no, and sometimes it feels like it's a, have you exhausted every lead under the sun that you need to try and talk to? But as we were driving along, we were on the highway, and I said to the guys, just look around, look at all the cars driving on the highway, look at all the guys in front of us, look at all the guys behind us, look at all the cars going in the other direction. Try and remember just some of the cars that you've driven past, and I challenge you to try and count the cars that we go past. It's impossible. And the best thing from it to take is that when you talk about leads and you talk about who might use your product, and you feel like you've exhausted every opportunity that there is, I can tell you, just like we couldn't count the cars on the highway, inside of every vehicle was a potential customer for us. I said, you can't run out of leads. You've got the whole world. Depending on what it is that you do, you've always got another opportunity. So if this one says no to you, go to the next one. Keep moving forward and look. And if you're driving along and maybe even listening to this in your car right now, or if you're in an environment where you're seeing people, look at how many people are out there, and it will inspire you to keep going. Because the same way that we looked at all these cars and no one could count them, and I said, well, go talk to that one. If he says no, go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. Obviously, you want to be as targeted as you can for your business, and to make sure that you aren't wasting your time just running around everywhere. But mentally, if you've dealt with lots and lots and lots of no's, it can eventually feel like you're done, you've exhausted it all. But I promise you, there's always more. So just keep going, and eventually you'll find the right thing. So these are all analogies just to try and help with dealing with the no and finding it in yourself to keep going. But let's look to the practical ability to turn the no around into something a bit more positive, and to say, how do I actually now take the no that I've got and move it into something that I can use in a business sense? So the first thing, and I often tell this to people, businesses need time for listening to the market. You can't get caught up creating a product that you think people will want, but that they might want something else, or maybe they don't want what you're offering at all. You've got to listen to the market. So there's no point in running around hard-headed and just offering and offering and offering. You've actually got to interpret. You've got to listen to what the market's told you and try and take information back and adjust. So again, I'm always happy to put this into the personal context and explain. When we first took our product Nagging Panda out to the market, we took it out in such a way that it was bundled in one package. I gave you everything. It was one price, and you used it just as it was. But the market came back on a small level to just go and ask people what they thought. And the market came back and said, you know what, I like what you're offering. The offer sounds good, but it's very comprehensive, and I don't think that I'll use a quarter of the functionality. The price isn't too expensive, but because I won't use all of it, I'm going to leave it. So instead of taking some of it, I'll take none of it. So the listening that we had to do was then go and split the product up into pieces so that people felt that what they bought from us was only what they needed, so that it solved their problem. But they, even if it were at the same price, it didn't matter. What mattered to them was that the functionality that they were getting and the usefulness and ease of the system just catered for their needs, and what they weren't going to use, they didn't need to touch. And the lesson was, as soon as we adjusted that, the no's started turning into yeses. So by listening to the market, we were able to go back and provide what was needed. One of the benefits of a small business is that you can turn quickly. And if you're able to listen to the market and turn the no's into something positive, like good and constructive feedback, you'll be able to move forward quite fast. I just see a question here. Hi, Elan. At times, the no's feel like punches. Yes, I agree with you. What advice can you give with regards to staying motivated and keep going? Sure. Del, I hope I don't pronounce your name wrong. Delesile. So you're spot on. The no's can sometimes feel like punches, and like I was explaining, depending on when you get the no and how hard you've worked on the particular pitch or whatever it was that was for that customer, maybe when that customer says no, because you put so much love and time and care into what you're doing, that no can really hit home. The best thing that I can tell you is to think about it in the non-personal, because people are doing what's best for them, and their no is in their mind the best for them. And I'll go back to the car dealership example. When I said no to that car dealer, he must have taken it personally, because he worked hard to try and convince me to buy his car, and he'd really worked on it, and it must have felt like a punch. But he must have sold that car to someone. So you've got to keep moving forward, and you've got to say to yourself, lots of people are being told no. It's okay for me to have been told no. Lots of people have been there before and succeeded, so will I. And if you can keep going and stay motivated, and remember that you have something unique and you can offer it, somebody will buy it. In general, one of the things that I've often said, and it's not said to encourage people to put bad products out to the market, but I spent a lot of time in the States when I was a musician, and one of the things that I learned was, if you put something out there with a price tag, somebody's going to come and buy it. And I'll give you an example. I once walked into an art gallery in the middle of nowhere, and there was a big picture with a white canvas and a red dot going for like $100,000. And I don't know, maybe I'm not an art connoisseur, but I don't know why it was worth $100,000. But I can tell you that they've sold it. I can't tell you who bought it, but how is it that somebody actually bought that product, and how many people probably said no to having looked at that art piece? So keep going forward, and you'll find where you need to be. But while I talk about this, so you've got to understand what it is that the market's telling you. And the reason I touch on this again is because you've got to be able to interpret. So one of the things that becomes very important is that you need to be able to categorize the information that you get back. So for example, I don't know what all the different businesses are in, but CRM for me becomes a massive, massive important task. And you can ask my team if you go and speak to them today. One of the things that I drill everyone about all the time is the ability to interpret the information that we're getting and to make sure that we categorize it. So if you haven't done this exercise before, you might find amazing light is shed on a subject that you had nothing before. Who said no to you? Why did they say no to you? And I'll give you an example. In our for TechZoo, we send out emails to people We ask them if our product would work in their world. We say, would it work? People will come back and say no. Some of the responses that we receive when they say no will say, we don't need it because we have no problem with this particular subject, or we don't need it because we're too small, or we don't need it because we think it's too expensive, or we think whatever it is that they think. And as soon as you start to categorize the information, you'll start to understand that your offer is portraying something particular that's making people lean towards their answer. So if I come to you and I say, and this is not promotion, it's just personal experience. If I come to you and I say, guys, I can solve your invoicing being paid late by using Nagging Panda, I've honed in on my invoicing functionality and I haven't told you about anything else. So if I come to you with that as my offer and you say, no, I don't have an issue with late payment, I haven't given you an opportunity to even see what the rest of my product could do for your business. So maybe all the people in one space have said no because they don't have a problem with the late payment, but maybe they don't follow up on their quotes. And I haven't portrayed my message correctly to give them the opportunity to think about that part of the product. And I need to go and relook what it is that I'm pitching. So CRM, you could rent one, build one, write one down on a piece of paper to start with, whatever it is, but you need some way to start categorizing your data. Who said no to you? Why did they say no to you? What's the common thread? Are they all sitting inside of one vertical? So example, is everybody who's saying no in the medical space? Is it all the plumbers that are saying no? Is it all the guys that are using cloud accounting that are saying no? Is it whatever it is that they're sitting with? Why are they saying no? Who's saying no? And what's common between them? There must be something that's common between them. And as soon as you start to categorize your data, you'll find it. One of the things, and I think I said this before in my last talk on NSBC, was, are you in the right room? So one of the things that we talk about a lot is targeting. Now, if you're offering something great, like I said in my examples above, if you're offering something that's a no-brainer, that people should take, that doesn't make sense for people to say no to, you actually then have to step back and ask yourself, are you pitching the right product in the right room? You might be in the wrong room entirely, and that would definitely steer you in the wrong direction. So you've got to go and look where you're going, where you're targeting, and how you're going about it. And if you're not, you have to adjust. And I'll give you an example. If you guys are doing digital marketing, say Google Ads or something like it, if you're, and this comes down to now keywords, if you're targeting the wrong keyword, you're in the wrong room. And that's a practical example of things that you need to adjust in your own business. But this is where you need to have CRM to be able to understand your data and what's going on. So if you're a door-to-door salesman and you're knocking on doors, you need to look at the area that you're in and wonder if you're pitching the right product. Is your area a very affluent area, not so affluent area? Are you trying to sell Ferraris in a place that can't afford them? Are you trying to sell another car in a place that wants Ferraris? You've got to understand these things and really get down to it. Also, if you're working with teams and people in a team, you've got to make sure that everybody's on the same page and singing from that same hymn sheet. So if you're listening to the market and you've got various people that have ears and are doing the listening, everybody's got to be able to come back and be able to relay the information that they've got and be able to deal with what's coming back and put it together as a business. And going back to the entrepreneurial and the business spirit of this community and everybody that we're talking to, a major thing is to be able to relay information and get it across to adjust your business to be able to move forward. And I wanted to bring a fun thought to this whole thing and just put something forward. It's an example that I've used before, but I can demonstrate to you that our brains are actually built to deal with information and be good at CRM. And the question is, are we good at the final decisioning once we've got the information? But I liken this whole discussion to finding a partner. So I don't know if you guys are married, if you have husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever the orientation. One of the things that I can tell you about for free is that people, when they want to meet somebody, they go out to the market. And I'll give you examples of how this happens. When we were younger, if anybody is my age or older, we go out and we go to the market, and You find somebody, maybe you're at a party, you're at a bar, wherever you are, and you go speak to them. When you speak to that person and you try and engage with them, a response is given. They engage with you back, or they don't want to talk to you at all. And your brain starts to take that information in, and it starts going, okay, well, hang on, I went to talk to a person who looked like this, who spoke like that, who was holding their bag like this, or carrying their whatever it was like that, and you're interpreting information. Now, the next time you want to go and talk to somebody, you know, hang on, the last time I spoke to somebody who resembled this, it wasn't such a good experience. So I need to try somebody else and see how I get on with this other person who might fit into a different space. And it becomes a very interesting way that your brain will actually start to categorize things and become your own CRM. So as individuals and people, we've got to, I've told people in talks before, you've got a type. And the reason you've got a type of person that you might be attracted to, because your brain and your body and whatever it is has designed it for you in your own CRM and said to you, cool, that's what I'm looking for. And we need to be able to apply that same kind of idea to business. And like I say, it's just a fun thought to be able to apply what it is that you're trying to do with your CRM and say, okay, who said no? Why did they say no? What did they look like? How do I profile them? What happens? What type of person or business was it? And let me rather stick to a different type and find the ones that are more suited to me. So really just a fun thought and a nice way to bring a very broad subject to something that's quite personal, and I hope a lot of people would relate to. And guys, in general, that's thoughts about dealing with no. Wait, hang on, I see a couple comments in here. Where am I? Jabu, sometimes the potential customer does not come out with an explicit no. Sometimes it's not a no, but a wait. Yep. How do you decide which is which? Also, persistence has its place in business. However, you don't want to nag. Well, we're nagging Panda. How do you ensure this persistence does not end up being nagging? Great question. Okay. So, Jabu, this is a discussion that I have with people on a consistent basis. And I often tell people to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Again, listen to the market. So if I were to offer you something and you said, hang on, not right now. If I came back to you the next day and I said to you, how about now? You'd probably get annoyed with me and say, Elan, I said to you, not right now. You could apply it to yourself as people, because business is done by people. You could say, okay, how would I react, and adjust it? But there's something to be said for persistence that's efficient and professional. If you come back and you approach somebody in a very short space of time and you say, okay, how about now? They're going to get annoyed with you, and they might even be rude and tell you to go away. If you're professional about it and diligent in your contacting, you'll find luck. And I'll give you an example. I remember listening to, I'm pretty sure it was Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about when he started in the entertainment business. He had a Rolodex. In those days, they literally had cards that they kept in a file. And every Monday, he used to make contact with somebody else in his Rolodex to keep his communication with everybody going. So he'd go, okay, cool. On a Monday, I'll call this guy. On a Tuesday, I'll call this guy. And once a week, he would touch base with people. And in today's day and age, something like that is actually, you're actually able to automate it. So not to take it out of the personal, but you can automate it, put it into sequencing, and you can actually see the results of how people engage. But my suggestion to you is to look and listen carefully to what the people are telling you. And generally, from my experience, if people say, not right now, it's quite clear that they're saying no, but maybe later. If they say a hard no, it means no. If they say, come back to me later, just make a note to get back to them later. And again, like I'm saying, you can automate it. But put yourself in their shoes, put yourself in the customer's shoes. One of the greatest sayings that I've heard recently is the best marketing that you could do is to care. And if you care about what you're doing, and I've heard Mike and Leanne say this before, is that you don't sell someone a product. You think about it like a doctor, and you try and solve their pain and you try and fix their problem. It makes a big difference because it comes back to caring. So, Jabu, I hope that provides some light and how to address it. So, yes, Leanne, exactly. The best thing you can do is care. It wasn't mine. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was Gary V's. I must have seen it somewhere with him. But if you care and you come across as caring and not always selling, it's a very good thing. And one of the things that I can tell you about no is if you push your product on somebody, no will be the knee-jerk reaction. If you explain and you show and you've got a good elevator pitch, and it's not a 10-minute thing or a half an hour discussion every time you need to talk to somebody, if it's nice and short and sweet and well prepared, people will come back to you with some sort of information, even inside of a no, but they'll generally listen to what you're saying as opposed to not let you through the door. So try and get your elevator pitches and all of those necessary business tools to be able to relay your message well, and you'll be able to use the no a lot better and turn it into the positive. Okay, what's that? Selling the solution to a problem has always worked for me. Excellent. That's great to hear. I love that. So guys, that kind of wraps me up. It's not personal, it's business. I agree, but sometimes it can feel personal to a lot of people. So we all got to keep going and remember to have a bit of a thick skin as we move forward.
Elan, that was powerful stuff, really important and powerful, and no, it's not such a bad word, and I think what you said earlier is like, as a business owner of a small business, we have the ability to listen to the market and adapt quickly and provide the market what they want from us, not what we want to give them, and that will take down the no's a lot more. So I think we've got to be clever, like you said, you've got to be clever in our approach, target the right people, reduce those no's, but listen. Think like that, doctor, listen carefully, and I love what you said. Care about your prospect, and you'll see the results. Elan, thank you very much. And
thanks, Mike. Thanks very much.
This is not the end of us. You're a great partner. You're a great supporter of the NSBC. You're a great supporter of Small Business South Africa, and you care a great deal. I've learned that in the short time I've known you over the last few months. But aren't we looking forward to being on stage next year, Elan, on these kind of platforms? I can't wait.
Mike, I'm so excited. Like I said, there's something special about having the mic in your hand and seeing the people that you're talking to and engaging with them and being able to make contact again. It'll be wonderful.
Absolutely. So to our attendees out there, I've learned a great deal, and I hope that you have. And let's give Elan a nice round of applause, if you will, in the technical environment. I think he deserves it more than ever. And I think you've made a change to many lives here this morning, Elan, and take some of these points away, work on them, bring them back into your personal life and your business. And I think that the results will certainly blossom. And guys, and to all our attendees out there, coming up, please don't leave the platform. Network now, get some no's, turn them into some yeses, and come back at 11. And of course, it's all about ABSA Small Business Friday, a panel discussion of the great opportunity of interviewing 2 mercurial entrepreneurs and of course the ABSA team. Elan, thank you very much. Take good care.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks.
All the best, eh?